Okay, so this is unit analysis for area and volume. So basically we're going to take what we've been learning about unit analysis and we're going to apply it to volume and surface area problems. So we're going to start with unit analysis for area conversion. Okay, so for example, the area of a rectangle is length times width. You're going to need that formula. Usually the length is the long edge and the width is the short edge, but they are reversible. But the basic area equation is length times width. So if we look at the units of area, just from living in real life, you probably have heard of square miles. You know, when we talk about tracts of land or farmland, how many square miles it is, and square inches, maybe even square feet of carpet, for example. So what we need to know is that when you have a power of 2, the descriptor is square miles, but mathematically speaking, it's miles times miles. That's where the power of 2 comes from. Same thing with square inches. The power of 2 means it's inches times inches. And so in order to convert units for area, you have to remember that you're converting units for 2 different measurements being multiplied together rather than just one, which was like last night's homework. All right, so what's the process? Write the given measurement over 1. Then you're going to factor the area units into their 2 components. Number 3, convert each component using unit analysis. And then number 4, return the units to their squared form at the end. So you're temporarily taking the square into its factors and then you're going to put it back. All right, flip the page. Let's do an example. Mad Eye Moody's marauding map has an area of 625 square inches. What is its area in square feet? So you start by writing the amount you're given over 1. And now we're going to break this into 625 over 1 times, and I'm going to take that inches squared, and I'm going to turn it into inches over 1 times inches over 1. So to convert the units, the 625 over 1 does not change, but the first inches over 1 gets multiplied by the conversion, which is 12 inches in a foot. So 1 foot over 12 inches. And I know I need feet on top because I want the inches to cancel. Inches and inches. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the second inches over 1. I'm going to multiply by the conversion, 1 foot over 12 inches. And again, the inches cancel. So now we've got 625 times a foot times another foot all over 12 times 12. And this is where you would most likely use a calculator. 625 divided by 144 is 4.34. And we're still being multiplied by feet and feet. So in your final answer, 4.34, you're going to take feet times feet and change it back to feet squared or square feet. So you pull it apart for the purpose of converting each of the separate units, and then you put it back together. All right, let's do another one. Professor Sprout has a separate greenhouse for her mandrakes with an area of 185 square decimeters. What is its area in centimeters? And there's 10 centimeters in a decimeter. So again, you take what you've been given, which is 185 decimeters squared. You break it into 185 over 1 times decimeters over 1 times decimeters over 1. All right, now we're going to do the conversion. So the 185 over 1 is not affected. You take the first decimeters over 1 and multiply it by the conversion, which is 10 centimeters per 1 decimeter. Decimeters cancel. Now we're going to do the same thing for the other decimeters over 1. We're going to multiply it by 10 centimeters per 1 decimeter. decimeters on top, decimeters on the bottom. What do we have now? We have 185, and I'm going to push the numbers to the front, times 10 times 10 times centimeters times centimeters. Everything else on the bottom has canceled out. So our answer is 18,500 square centimeters, which was what they wanted. All right, so that's how you convert basic area. The nice thing is when we go to volume, it's the exact same skill, except in volume calculations, we have cubed units. So, for example, the volume of a rectangular prism, we usually say the long edge is length, h is height, and we're doing volume, so the distance from the front to the back is the width. So length times width times height is the volume formula. Adding units to this, feet cubed or cubic feet means feet times feet times feet. 1 foot measure for length, 1 for width, 1 for height. Centimeters to the power of 3 is cubic centimeters, which is centimeters times centimeters times centimeters. So volume always has 3 dimensions. Okay, flip the page. All right, what is the process for volume conversion? Number 1, write the given measurement over 1. Number 2, factor the volume units into their 3 components. Number 3, convert each component using unit analysis. Number 4, return the units to their cubic form at the end. And number 5, write your answer in appropriate terms or in a parallel format as the question. So when in doubt, you can give your units in the same form that you're given them in the question. All right, here's an example. The 12 governors of the Ministry of Magic have a scrying pool that holds 3,360 cubic feet of water. How much will it hold in cubic yards? Okay, so we start by writing the quantity we've been given over 1. Then we split it into 3,360 over 1, and that feet cubed becomes feet times feet times feet. So to do the conversion, you write 3,360 over 1, and then you take the first feet over 1, and we're going to convert it to yards. So there's 1 yard over 3 feet. Feet on top, feet on bottom, cancel. Now we do the same thing for the middle foot. Feet over 1 times 1 yard over 3 feet. Again, feet on top, feet on bottom, we have the conversion. And the last one, feet over 1 times 1 yard over 3 feet. Feet on top, feet on bottom. So you have to convert each of the 3 dimensions. And when you cancel out the units, you have 3,360 times 1 yard over 3, 1 yard over 3, 1 yard over 3. And when you divide, you get 124.444 yards times yards. And that's where we get the answer, 124.44 cubic yards of water. All right, let's do one more example. Moaning Myrtle lives in the bathroom that hides the Chamber of Secrets, which is under an island of sinks created from 28 cubic meters of concrete. August Filch purchases 16 cubic meters of concrete, but has to purchase the rest at a different store. The second store sells concrete by the cubic yard. How many cubic yards does Filch need to buy? So if he has 28 cubic meters, he needs 28 cubic meters, and he only has 16. If you subtract, the difference is 12 cubic meters. That's what he needs. Now we break that into its component parts. So 12 over 1 times meters over 1, meters over 1, meters over 1. All right, so the 12 over 1 doesn't change, but we need to convert meters to yards. So take the first meters over 1, and our conversion is 1.0936 yards over 1 meter. And whenever you're going from metric to standard form, you do want to have a few more decimals than usual because it's an ugly changeover. They're two completely different types of measurements. All right, so the second meter over 1 is multiplied by 1.0936 yards per 1 meter. And the last m over 1 times 1.0936 yards per 1 meter. So meters on top, meters on bottom cancel out. There's nothing left on the bottom of this, just ones. So we're going to multiply the 12 times the yard measurement across the top. We end up with 15.6948 times yards times yards times yards. And we round 15.69 cubic yards would be our answer. All right, flip the page. Okay, this last topic, we're just going to do one example and we'll come back later and do the other two. Today, we're just going to do the one because this is a lot like what we've already been learning. Converting units using multiple conversions. Okay, if you can't find a conversion that relates old and new units directly, use more than one conversion fraction until the undesired units cancel out. This can be done with just one unit conversion expression. We actually did this Friday with the minutes and seconds and hours. We used multiple conversions. This is the same thing. Dobby the house elf can zap a large wizard back 3 meters with a snap of his fingers. What is this distance in yards if 1 yard is 36 inches and 39.37 inches is a meter? Okay, so we're starting with 3 meters over 1. And I don't have, we want this distance in yards. That's what we're looking for directly, but I have meters. And I don't have a yards to meter conversion. So what I'm going to do is go from meters to inches. So I'm going to multiply this by 39.37 inches over 1 meter. Meters on top, meters on bottom cancel. And then now that I'm in inches, I can use the conversion from yards to inches. So times 1 yard over 36 inches, inches on top, inches on bottom. What I have left is 3 times 39.37 times yards over 36. And running that through a calculator, you get 3.280, which rounds to 3.28 yards. So one of the values of doing multiple conversions rather than just looking up a decimal on the internet is that, remember, every time you see a decimal, it's rounded. And so depending on what you're going to do with the number, if you're going to do multiple calculations, you want to avoid the rounded numbers as much as possible. So if by doing a double conversion to get where you're going uses only whole numbers, that's going to be the one you want to use so your answer is accurate and doesn't have rounding error.